Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have Rich and Rare. So rare, I found it at Walmart. Canadian whiskey with natural flavors. Flavors. Introduced in 1961. I think the company that introduced it was called Gooderham Distilling, but they're out of business. This one says bottled by the Sazerac Company, Frankfort, Kentucky. Oh yeah, I forgot to put that on the information. Bottled. Well, I'm sorry. Bottled in I can update it. Bottled in Kentucky at Buffalo Trace Distillery. You've heard of Buffalo Trace. There is a fancier version called Rich and Rare Reserve. Jo was talking about that last night, and I went run get the bottle. I said, I got it. All right. So it's the Sazerac bottle with the big lip at the bottom. It's kind of tapered, big shoulders and tapers down. The competitor, this is the old Kessler bottle, the Beam Company days, Lord Calvert Canadian imported. Introduced, well, for the United States market, introduced in 1964. Seems that it was on the market long before that. But the Canadians are telling me they can't get it. They never heard of it. No shock. It actually started in the United States in Baltimore, Lord Calvert Distilling. Then it was a Seagram's brand, and then a Jim Beam brand, and now Luxco. Let's see something here. Okay, the temperature. (62 degrees). It's chilly a little bit. There was a little breeze coming in from that window, so I shut it. It's kind of giving me a chill. But it'll get up to about 72 today. You say, oh, that's warm. Well, in Louisiana, we tend to get a lot of humidity. Even when it's low humidity, it's not that low. And you can have days here where it'll be 72 degrees and you have a little bit of a chill just because of the humidity. So like if your clothes were damp, and you were standing in 74 degrees with no sun shining on you, you'd be pretty chilly. You'd probably get sick. So that's kind of like what we deal with here. So our 48 degrees feels a lot colder than other states. Like here, 60 feels like 40. Usually because usually it's be damp, and with any kind of wind, then it's just bone chilling. But I went to Arizona and I was standing in snow with short sleeves and I wasn't cold. The humidity is a big component. But let's get off of that because it's not really a weather report. Let's listen to some jazz. And some good bass playing. All right. So that's the Lord Calvert. Make sure I got the tags right. Yeah. Am I gonna be able to tell them apart? Yeah. But I think it's gonna be a challenge. The Rich and Rare is like right now at Walmart. It's like $7.99. Prices have been going up. When I bought it, it was like $7.79. You say, well, that's only 20 cents. Yeah, I know, but it's slowly creeping up. Like the Canadian Limited was $7.42. Now it's like $7. It might be $7.99 as well. So these things do tend to climb a little bit. Jack Cottrell, good morning. J45 here in Muskogee. That'll happen here probably in December and January. We'll get that. That could be in November. It's unlikely, but it could be. I mean, we could get cold in October, November, but it doesn't last. Like day before yesterday, it was close to 90 and very humid. And All right. I need a little bit more Lord Calvert to balance it out, because that weight differential can really make a difference. You say, nah. Oh, yeah. You can feel it, because there's be a slight difference in weight. Now the color, well, that won't matter. They're both golden. Oh, wasn't holding it high enough. Both golden. These work better than Cairn glasses because they have some substance to them. Oh yeah, the Glencairn's fine, but they're so flimsy. They crack, break, shatter with just the slightest little effort. And the way I use these things continuously, it's only when John and Neely gave them to me, I said it won't be, because I felt the glass, and it won't be long. These things won't make it. 2 of them were going before the end of the year, and I got 1 left. I'll just use it for tastings, not challenges, because it just can't hold up. All right. Mix them up. These little snifters are good anyway. They're fine. I think people overdo the glassware anyhow. You know, it's like, you got to use Glencairn, it's going to make a huge difference. When in reality, it might make, at the best, a marginal difference. It's not going to, it's like beer, you know. People are like obsessed with beer glassware. I mean, yeah. All right, if I drink a Pilsner, I'm going to use a Pilsner glass, right? But if I used a snifter, would it make a major difference? I think in a practical sense, it's going to make no difference. If it's a good Pilsner, it's going to smell good, taste good, have appropriate bitterness, have a nice, lighter oriented body and a crisp finish. It's not like you're going to pour it in a goblet and all of a sudden it's going to have a heavy body and a sweet finish instead of the appropriate dry finish and crisp. You know, so all right, enough of that. But you know what I'm talking about. We've had enough discussions about pouring the beer where people, at least once a week, I'll get a comment, learn how to pour beer. I know how to pour it. Because, you know, the thick head and all, pouring it straight in, aggressive. But you get the internet experts. And I always ask them, what are your basis? You know, what is your basis of argument about that? I never get a response. And sometimes it will be along the lines of, everybody knows you're supposed to tilt the glass. Oh, everybody does. That's not citing a source. Everybody knows. Oh, well, that's another thing you can narrow down. All right. This is going to be tough because these are very similar. They're like basic Canadian blended whiskeys, aged 3 years. I mean, Lord Calvert has no age statement, but you assume it's the minimum. And with flavoring. But that's no big deal because almost all Canadian whiskey has flavors added, which would be coming from rum, brandy, bourbon, and all types of barrel-aged wine. The only regulation is that the wine has to be aged in small wood, meaning a barrel. Well, you have that many variables, you got that many different possibilities. And it shows. But there's a general template of flavor as well with Canadian whiskeys. They are different, but they tend to be more alike than different. Tend to be. This one smells very basic, but it doesn't have super duper or flavoring aroma. So that's making me think possibly it's the Lord Calvert, because the rich and rare, like I say, if you want to call Walmart availability rare, go ahead. But it is rich in a sense, but it could be in a negative sense. Like you might say, you know, what's all this candy flavor? Oh man. I said it's like if you melted a, but I was talking about the Lord Calvert. If you melted a peppermint cane, you know, a candy cane, and you had the syrup, it kind of smells like that. It's cereal grain, like, and we talked about this on other videos. It's like you took honeycomb cereal and you pulverized it. It's almost like that, like it was distilled from honeycomb cereal. Sounds bizarre, but it's apt. If you smell it and taste it, you're going to say, oh yeah, honeycomb, I got you. Okay, so I think initially, well, I don't know. I really don't know. I think that could be the rich and rare, because I remember the rich and rare having a stronger flavoring smell. Let's go with the taste. It's natural flavor. It's not artificial flavored, okay? Or could be colored, but it's not artificial. And it's artificial in the sense that these blended Irish, Scotch, and Canadian whiskeys are not this gold. All right, but they'll say caramel color. You know, they can add caramel coloring and not have to disclose it. So in a way, it's artificial in the sense that no, it's not naturally that dark coming out of a used barrel. It might be almost clear, just look like yellow water, but they don't want to market that, have that on the shelf, so they give it a darker shade. That may not sit well with you, but they do it. Is caramel color going to hurt you? There's no evidence of that. You say, well, I read Food Babe's article in 2014 and she's talking. Yeah, well, did she cite any sources and give any reliable information? Well, no, but she said it. And her article got a lot of, it went viral. Yeah, okay. Remember in 1970, what, 74, 75, they said red dye, you die. Some flawed study that red food coloring is carcinogen, and, you know, it's a carcinogen. And then they even had no red drinks for a while. It was all clear. And I was upset as a child. I was like, why do I got to get rid of the red? And then, of course, it turned out that it was bogus. There was no validity to it. So then red number 5 came back and all the other red color. Then the thing with the apples, remember in the early 90s, that Alar or whatever. This is just hype, fanaticism, lies. You say, what about the environment? What about the climate? Oh, we're not going to talk about the climate. Well, of course, it tastes like whiskey, but it's very sweet. It's sugary. I always say to me, but I think all whiskey styles taste like candy to me. You could say you're a heretic and you're stupid and I hate you. You could say whatever you want, but I'm telling you, to me, whiskey tastes like candy. I can only taste stuff for myself. Say, what about bourbon? Yeah, well, bourbon tastes like a different type of candy. This one is just kind of like, you say, what about the char? Yeah, what about it? You're not going to get char in Canadian whiskeys, okay? You might get wood, but it'd be like toothpick wood. The char goes away. The bourbon sucks up the char. That flavor goes into the bourbon. And they're using old barrels, old bourbon barrels. They could use them for 100 years. They're not leaking. Okay. So forget char. You'll get wood. Now they got a little rye spice in this. This Canadian whiskey use rye. Yeah, rye, high wine. Corn, high wine. High wine is like super high proof whiskey that's aged, could be for years, but you couldn't drink it. It's not made to drink. It's made to flavor the whiskey. Call it high wine. No, it's like 70% alcohol. You know what I mean? Like 140 proof. It's not a drinking component. But these companies, these whiskey companies, have all this stuff stored. It's like a laboratory. You say, you mean it's like a laboratory? You're concocting this stuff in a laboratory. It's exactly what it is. And they use wheat to some extent, if they choose, in single malt barley whiskey, barley malt whiskey, and all the other things. So yes, it is like a laboratory or like a kitchen where people are trying different recipes. I don't see why that's a problem, but some people got like a fixation on it. Canadian whiskey's making a comeback these days. This one has more of a tea taste. You say tea? Yeah. Kind of like tea, bitter, you know. Um, Okay, I'm trying to figure this out. All right, now I'm trying to narrow it. Jean-Pierre, morning, Jay. Morning, Jean-Pierre. The beverage ramble. Jean doesn't fool with these spirits. I cannot criticize that. People have said, you do this all the time. It's not healthy for you. You know, I usually like change the subject, like, boy, it sure is chilly. Or, you know, whatever. Like, how about them Saints? You know, but so, you know, let's. Good morning, Ron. Good morning, Maxwell, over there in the Russian Federation. So, I remember the Lord Calvert being really, really, really candy corn. Rich and rare. It's been many months since I've had it, so I'm not sure. I'm not drinking all this right now. It isn't that much, but still. I can sip on these for the next few hours. I ain't going nowhere. I don't know. That's pretty candy corn too. That's pretty sweet. It's sugary. It's candy like the. This is almost like a tie. It's kind of like Lord Calvert is the Luxco version of Rich and Rare, and Rich and Rare is the Sazerac Buffalo Trace version of Lord Calvert. Candy like, sugary sweet Canadian blended whiskey. Definitely made to appeal to people that don't like bourbon, because bourbon, you know, with that heavy char and the heavy wood and real strong cornbread, like corn. Anytime I drink bourbon, you'll notice I keep saying corn, corn, corn. This tastes like corn grits. I'm going to go buy a box of Quaker corn grits. You say, well, hell, bourbon is mostly corn. That's right. And so is Canadian whiskey. All right. So they have the same base, bourbon, Canadian blended whiskey, same base, but they don't have the same execution and process. See, in Canada, they use a process. You cross the border, they use a process. See? Use a process in Canada and a process in the United States of America. This is a very tough call. I had a feeling it was going to be tough. I was saying to myself, you know what? This is going to be tough. And it is. Is one of these way better than the other? No, I wouldn't say that. Wouldn't say that at all. You might say rinse your mouth and don't take sips so fast. It makes a difference. It might, but I don't think so. I don't know. That one's a lot stronger rye and wood. It's got a little bit more bite to it. It's a little bit more claw. I didn't say clawing. I meant clawing, like it's. Whoa, baby. Well, I think that might be Rich and Rare. But you see, on its own, and in the other challenges, Rich and Rare didn't have that wood. You say, and it being in a bottle ain't gonna matter. It's only gonna age if it's in the barrel. It doesn't age in the bottle. Might go stale, maybe some kind of way. I don't think whiskey goes stale, but it isn't going to age. It's not going to change or improve for the better. All right, you age whiskey, you put it in a barrel, you leave it there 12 years, whatever. I don't know though. It's got a lot of that candy corn, and I kept talking about that with Lord Calvert honeycomb. Okay, I would buy the Rich and Rare. Okay, why? Because it's cheaper. So that's it. Rich and Rare is going to win because these are almost indiscernible from one from another. Number two, in my experience, the Rich and Rare is $3 cheaper per bottle, maybe $3.50. So let's be on the safe side. Say $3 cheaper. All right. The age is about the same, 3 years, and they're both going to be at the lower end of the shelf. Although the Lord Calvert was actually on the top shelf. when I went to Lavery's Budget Saver. They probably put it up there so people would notice it because it never would sell until I walked in. And it was, you know, I had to kind of clean it off with some hot water. It was kind of dusty, the bottle. So, man, I know it shouldn't have been on the shelf in the light in a clear bottle. I know. But it didn't seem to affect it. But how would I know? I never had it down in a cellar, never exposed to light at a ideal temperature. And if you think your whiskey is being delivered that way, you don't know what you're talking about. Because I've seen Old Fitzgerald, $128 a bottle, come into stores, be sitting in the sun, in the heat. Beer, it's all at your own risk. I'm telling you, these distributors, they tell you on their website, we ensure quality. We're the 3-tier system, and distributors protects you. First of all, you can find so many beers out of date on the shelves. That's supposed to be the distributor's job to check the dates. Wrong. They don't do it. Or they claim they do, but then yet there I am finding old beers on the shelves from all 3 of the big companies, including the small ones. So that's phony. Second, they leave the stuff in the heat. So don't fool yourself. These people are not what they claim to be. You say, well, they're monopolists. I know they don't claim to be monopolists. They claim to be quality and guarantors. Yeah, sure. They're a middleman who are in cahoots with the government that help bump up the price of what they are. But this is not about a rant on the 3-tier system, but I could do it. Okay, I think this is the rich and rare, honestly. It is sort of rich. It ain't rare. So it's bottled at Buffalo Trace. Now, produced at Buffalo Trace is bottled there. They ship it down on a train, one of these tanker cars, I'm assuming that, or one of these tanker trucks, 18-wheelers. I don't know. It's not a big pipeline from Canada to Buffalo Trace that's got whiskey flowing through it. You know that's not the case that they gave me. All right. So tie on quality, tie on flavor. Well, retraction. I think Rich and Rare has a slight advantage because it doesn't have that claw scratching my face with no mercy. So I think Rich and Rare is going to win. And now if I look at this bottle and it says LC, I mean, if I look at this glass and it says LC, that means Lord Calvert, that means I was wrong. Ain't the first time, certainly won't be the last. Bazam. You thought you could beat me. You thought you could fool me, but you were wrong. Oh, so very wrong. I could tell them apart. I did it. And that comes from what? Being a great expert? No. It comes from experience. Look how much I have. There's not that much left. It's 15% of the bottle. Huh? 20%? No way. Yeah. You know, look at Lord Calvert. I'm getting through it. We about 45% down, 55% left. If you drink them enough. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say, if you taste enough, drink. I think I would drink whiskey at 5:50 in the morning. Are you crazy? If you taste them enough, you get a taste for it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say you'd like it because I've been tasting some other ones and I hate them every time I taste them. I hate them worse than the previous time. But you get used to them. You start to recognize. You better recognize. Let's go Astros, says Jim Gates. Yeah, yesterday got postponed. He's got a beer mug. He said cheers. Oh, I don't know. The Yankees might win tonight. It might go back and forth until the game 7. Then it'll be some game-ending hit. And here's Correa. He's look what Bregman did. Oh, Alex Bregman. See you later. Or something like that, you know. Or on the other hand, it might be, it's Glaber Day. And like a good Glaber. Calvert is fine. Little alcohol though, a little boozy. Now you see, I didn't notice that before, but I mean, Rich and Rare brings out the booze in Lord Calvert. You say, oh, you mean like you start picking up a bunch of grain alcohol and rubbing alcohol? Yeah. So you could take a cheap old run-of-the-mill whiskey like Rich and Rare, which is one of the top 20 selling Canadian whiskeys, I might add, and you put it in there against Lord Calvert, and it'll bring out some little badness in it. Look at you, Rich and Rare, bringing out that nastiness in Lord Calvert. Oh, the world of Buffalo Trace, even though they would prefer that you didn't know it was Buffalo Trace. That's why on that bottle it says Sazerac. If you get Ancient Age, it says Ancient Age Distilling, Frankfort, Kentucky. And then if you get the highbrow ones, you know, the like uprated bourbons, it'll say Buffalo Trace. It's funny how these people. You try Weller Reserve? Yes, at my friend David's house. It was dynamite, but he was complaining about it. The more he drank the Wellers, he paid a lot of money for these, you know. I just had one taste of each, so I was like, oh yeah, it's really dynamite. It's really dynamite. But he kept saying, the more I'm drinking them, I could see all kind of flaws in it. I said, what? Yeah, it's a ripoff. I said, a ripoff? Yeah, I'm paying $60 or whatever. He was paying all kind of money. He said, they're not that good. I said, well, you're buying it. You got a right to say it. And then he was ranting and raving about the Japanese blended whiskeys. Man, I paid all this money. This stuff's not even good. It's got all kind of deficits. But so like he's drinking through it and thinking through it. So he's finding out little problems, you know. Okay. It says money. If he bought it, he can say whatever he wants about it. Even if he didn't buy it, if somebody gives it to you and says, tell me what you think. You know how some people are? They'll give you something. Tell me what you think. And then if you tell them, they get mad. I was like, well, you gave it to me. You told me to give you an honest opinion. Well, that's my favorite whiskey. Well, you should have given me a preemptive strike. Say, look, this is my favorite whiskey. Don't dare say anything bad about it. Now tell me what you think. People don't do that. Jeremy Vincent, morning, Ron. Hey, Jeremy, last night was fun, wasn't it? But next time I'm doing Mozilla Firefox, I'm going to tell you all that. I found it for $20 around Houston. Oh, no, you'd never see it that cheap around here. No way. No way, baby. No way, baby. That's Buffalo Trace price. Oh, you know what I mean? Buffalo Trace bourbon. All right. So thanks for watching this video production. Rich and Rare wins. I didn't expect that. Did not expect that, but I'm pleased. Very pleased. I'm not a gamer. I'm not, what am I saying? A gamer. I'm not a favorite. I'm not showing favoritism because Sazerac's headquartered in New Orleans, Louisiana. But I don't favor them. If they lose, they lose. They win, they win. Today they won. Okay. Maybe tomorrow they'll lose. But I don't see how Rich and Rare Reserve, the more highbrow version, is going to lose if the cheap one won, you know. If the cheap one won, the inferior one won, you know. Voltron says hi. Hello, Voltron, defender of the universe. And now I have to say goodbye. Goodbye, folks. Everyone have a nice, safe day.